This is Danielle. Welcome to the close. Good day. Good day. Unfortunately, my CNBC segment got cut at the very last minute because they ran out of time. So I got all ready and, now I have makeup on. So maybe I should get my husband to take me to dinner or something because I look presentable, which is not the norm on a daily basis. I'm working on that, but I usually like to sit around and trade in my comfy clothes. Um, guess oil was more important today, Danielle. Same, same. At least you do makeup not like the others. It's funny. Hey guys. Check out my beautiful green screen background here. I'm using this mic because I have a nanny upstairs with my kids. And I use the one on the desk when I'm going on TV because, obviously I don't want to have a headset on. But I'm in the basement in my house and my kids are upstairs. And so when I use the mic on the table, it's like pound, 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 pound every time these kids are running around, which is the entire time. So are we going to expect this treatment all the time? Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you guys my presentation I was about to do on TV. So it just happens sometimes, It's a very fast moving doing TV and media is just like a very fast moving industry and there's always rapid breaking news and snow day today. Actually, I do not have snow here today. My parents live an hour away from me and they have a ton of snow, but I do not have any snow here. Do you? Great, great. Okay. Well, um, let me go ahead and start off with some questions and then I'm going to get into my spiel that I was going to get into, but I always just like to chat and say hi to everyone first. Snow day sounds amazing. So let me go ahead and take your request while we're just getting started saying hello. My sister is sending me gorgeous pictures of my niece with tons of snow. CN, MU, Valley, you had 6 feet or more 3 weeks ago. Now it's gone. Summer is early. Wow. VZ showed up on the radar. SNDK is a monster. I wish there was a better way to do SNDK in the options market. I mean, I think you would just have to buy the stock. Danielle's live. Danielle with the close. Happy Friday. I mean, I can turn on the camera whenever. It's just annoying to some people, which, by the way, if you hate it, you can hit the X. Get rid of me. CBNA still a short. Okay. I have a bunch of different requests to go through. So I'm just going to start off with the indexes right here. When you're looking at the indexes, this is not looking very good because we have the NASDAQ that looks like it's going to close below the 200 simple. So not good right here. That is pretty much a sign that we're going to come back down here and retest the lows. So those lows are at 24,000 in the NASDAQ. We have a specific situation as well, which is we are going into a weekend and we're going into a weekend with a lot of news related events happening right now. And those news related events are going to be are going to cause a lot of uncertainty, right? So We have no idea what's going to happen. We do know that President Trump is pretty good about tweeting out when the market gets hammered that things are getting better, which is what he did on Monday. So, we do have that in the back pocket that if things get too severe, he'll probably do something like that. Um, but I would say overall, to me, it looks like we're going to retest the previous lows and most likely break those lows. We have this squeeze right here. That squeeze looks like it's going to fire to the downside. And if we end up breaking this low, then that's going to open up the door to a move into, I would say, 23,500. And, ideally not lower than that, but 23,500 is probably good. I also saw that Jim Cramer posted that this is the low. So, take with that what you will. Um, just a little piece of information there that I just saw on X. Let's count on Santa Trump. Uh, and then as far as today is concerned, I mean, we're pretty close to the lows on the day. I tried that short last Friday in the indexes when I tried to put a day trade on to short the market going into the last, well, it was the last half an hour of the day, right? And so I put on a bearish trade thinking, okay, people are going to panic right before the end of the day on a Friday. And as it turned out, nothing really happened. The market didn't move, the trade didn't make money. So I'm still in that same kind of state of mind where um, I feel like it makes sense for the market to fall into the end of the day because it's a psychology thing. People are sitting here, they're thinking, okay, what kind of risk do I want to have on over the weekend? Is this really worth it? What if the indexes are down 2, 3, 4% on Monday? That kind of thing. And that's generally why people sell on Fridays. And today we have had high volume selling. So I feel like it makes sense to look for the indexes to go out on the lows. But full disclosure, I did try that last Friday and there was just no buying or selling action. Nothing really happened. It was just not an exciting Friday. So we'll see if that's different today. As of right now, we do have the ticks going into negative territory. Um, down into negative 500. We have the vol spread that's been pretty flat, but it has been trending lower. So just nothing serious here. One thing that I look for with the vol spread is I really want to see just a big, high volume, downward trending candle in red that just suddenly hits the second half hour of the session, where the volume's pretty neutral and then all of a sudden, boom, and everything starts dropping. That's usually when I will short the market the second half hour of the day. I'll also do it when we have the ticks at negative 600 that keep hitting the negative 600 and going lower. And then something else I really wanted to point out as well is the put call ratio, because the put call ratio is still pretty neutral. So because the put call ratio is neutral and at 0.8, I don't think it's time for a low. Generally the lows come in when the put call ratio is up above 1. So I just don't really feel like I don't really feel like it's the low personally, especially because if you look at the VIX is at 27. So when you're looking at that, pretty much all of these things combined just lead me to believe that we're going to see more downside. Another reason why I feel like we're probably going to see more downside is because we have the S&P that's also now breaking down below the 200 simple on the daily chart. Before, we previously had the NASDAQ that was primarily weak. And now we're in this situation where also the S&P is breaking down. So that's not a good sign for the overall market. A lot of the downside has kind of been concentrated in the Bag 7. Like the Mag 7, except for now it's the Bag 7. So if you're looking at Microsoft, I mean, I know you guys know that I love Microsoft, but this is going lower. So it rallied directly up into the 21 EMA. It hit, it held, it's failing. It has a squeeze. This thing is headed to new recent lows. It's below the $400 price point. Let me put an extension on here also. All right, so look at that. We have a pretty clean downside price target on Microsoft down into 375. So I feel like it makes sense to look for that move. If you look at the lower time frame charts, you can see that it has multi time frame squeezes. It has a daily squeeze, it has a 195-minute squeeze, it has a 1-hour squeeze. This thing is bearish, it's going lower, it's leading the bag 7 to the downside along with the Nasdaq. Watch live. Trump participates in a greeting with the national finals rodeo winners. What? uh, well, hopefully, when he appears at that event, he'll be like, the stock market's great, guys. Everybody buy it. Because, the day that he sent that tweet out, or I guess it was his Truth Social post last year, that was the tariff low. So keep in mind that we do have one thing we're looking for, which is, the Trump put. Yeah, that actually gave me a really good idea. Maybe I should try to use Claude Code to decipher Trump's Truth Social messages. Ooh, that's a really good idea, actually. There's unusual whales. They look at different politicians' trades and stuff. I'll see what I can do with that. But I need a better alert system for these Trump put tweets. Good luck trying to decipher that, yeah. So anyways, I think that the Mag 7 is not looking very hot here. A lot of the issue with the Mag 7 just has to do with all of the spend. These companies are spending billions and billions and billions of dollars on their AI build outs. And as of right now, there's not, just even Claude, it's like $100 a month, As of right now, the big picture proof of concept way that they can generate revenue from it based off of what they're spending is not really matching up. So we have the Mag 7 that's pretty much all trading lower. You have Meta down almost 4%. If we look at Amazon, which by the way, I'm pretty sure somebody was asking me if we could short Meta yesterday. Somebody in here in the trading room. If you're looking at Amazon, I really like Amazon personally, but again, this looks like one that's headed down into 200. That's going to be where your support zone is. That's also going to be where your symmetry level is. Let's see what that symmetry level is from. I think it's this one from the 2024 move. And then comparing the 2025 downward move, that would bring you all the way down into 175, 180. So I feel like there's more downside in Amazon, more downside in Meta, more downside in Microsoft. If we look at Netflix, let's see here. So Netflix does have a little bit of a trend shift here. Okay, Netflix has broken out up above the 50 simple. It's rallied up into the 100 simple. It shifted into a bullish trend just because of the recent news that they had. I personally don't really think that's enough for me to want to buy it after this huge downward trend that it's been in. I think it's more likely going to pull back and settle around 90 or so, and then maybe it'll stay up after that. But I just feel like overall, I don't really want to do anything with it here. Netflix is one of the first companies that's going to report earnings in April. and I will consider looking at it for a move going into earnings, but I just feel like there's no way that that could be a bullish move, especially when you look at the last several quarters. I mean, you can see it roll over and died right here, pretty much rolled over and died, right here, rolled over and died, right here, rolled over and died, right here, rolled over and died. So, I mean, let me see if I can look at this here. All right, so if we look at the earnings hot zone and we look at Meta, you can see that the earnings hot zone is showing that over the last 2 years, it does have a bearish average where it's down about 1.52%. Now, that being said, it's not it's not huge. It's not like it's historically down 5% or 10% before earnings. And that has a little something to do with the fact that, it used to rally going into earnings sometimes. So that's why the average is coming out like that. So with Netflix, it's had a couple different trend shifts. I don't really see anything I can do with it right here. Yes, it is up. Um, but other than that, I think there's probably going to be some better opportunity in some of these other stocks. Claude Cowork and Perplexity Computer have me staying up till the wee hours. I know, it's so addicting. It's just like, "Claude, do this for me. Claude, change this. Claude, create this for me." And then it just boom, boom, boom. I love it. I'm obsessed. I'm like, "How many things can I make? What can I do?" Ugh, I don't know. I think it's great. Let's see. MU into earnings next week. Hopefully Meta will pull back, hopefully enough to buy. Yeah, we can go ahead and look back at Meta real quick. So I just feel like this is probably the start of a larger down move just because you broke this ledge. The head and shoulders pattern is sloppy. I wouldn't say it's super obvious, but you can see the head here, shoulder here, and then you broke the ledge. So I feel like that is definitely going to head lower. The most obvious target is going to be the key psychological value at 600. And then after that, you're going to have a price target down at 575, 580. So those are the levels to watch there. Would we buy it at that point? I mean, Meta has just been all over the place. You can see that there have been some pretty big earnings moves, gap up, gap up, gap up. This quarter broke the trend though. Let's see here. Let's look at a weekly chart. Ooh, look at that. That is nasty. Okay, so here you can see the head and shoulders pattern more clearly. You have the head right here, you have the shoulders here, and then, if you end up breaking down, which you're pretty much doing right now, that level of support that I mentioned, the 575, 580 level, that would be the spot where I would say, okay, we're definitely going a lot lower if we break that zone. And on this chart, you can see the weekly squeeze as well. So that to me looks like it's set up for quite a bit more downside. Um, looks like I have another price target down at 535. So that's the price target that would be in play if the 575, 580 gets broken. Unattended children will be given an espresso and a free kitten. That's funny. Make sure you have a nanny. I do have a nanny that I really appreciate. I was a little worried about leaving her upstairs with the kids since we got baby chicks yesterday, but they've been fine. So great job. Okay, let's see. Amazon buy. Trump keeps us entertained. I've got a Microsoft 360 price target. What do you think about SPY? Is it a trigger to flush down? Yeah, I think it's going to flush down. You're selling calls for the next couple of months. Joby is going good. Nice. Hello from Cali, SNDK. Yeah, it's in DK. It's a good one. You have an SPX butterfly targeting 6650. Okay, we can look at that and NVIDIA. So I actually got a request from Charles Payne to talk about NVIDIA on Monday because NVIDIA is having a big event on Monday. So I was doing quite a bit of research about that. So I can definitely talk about that after we finish going over. Let me just finish going over Apple and then we can move over to that and I'll get to the SPX trades at the end of the day too. Um, so looking at Apple, and I'm a little biased on this just because I have been using the Claude code and I've never been a Mac user, but you need to use it on a MacBook because it's much better that way. So now I have my own MacBook. Um, and it's literally like I just can't even tell you. I'm just extremely excited about it, but people are going to need more MacBooks to use all of this AI technology. So I'm looking at Apple and I have that in mind, but then I also am looking at the technical chart and you have this beautiful weekly squeeze on Apple. Apple is also one of the few companies that is not spending billions and billions of dollars on this AI build out and they have the hardware that people are going to need as this infrastructure continues being built out. So, my thesis on this is just okay, let's look at Apple, let's look at this weekly squeeze. I think it makes sense for Apple to trade up into 300 and then 315. Maybe not immediately, just because, as you can see, it's shifted into a downward trend on the daily chart along with everything else. And it looks like in the shorter term, you can probably see it falling back down into like 245. But ideally, that 245 price point is going to hold on the daily chart, and then we can try to focus on trading Apple going higher into the April earnings season. So I have that in mind. Apple actually did really well after earnings last quarter. Apple was one of the very few Mag 7 companies that actually gapped up on high volume and continued going higher. So I will say that Apple is one of the few that I feel like when the market starts to shift higher, that's what I want to focus on. The other one that I would like to look at is going to be NVIDIA. Um, MacBook Minis are what Perplexity has in their new personal computer ad. Interesting. Love seeing you on Making Money with Charles Payne. It is so fun. I love it. Um, so let's see. NVIDIA, here's the thing with NVIDIA. It's just been in consolidation for a long time. But I will tell you this is when NVIDIA stays in consolidation for a long time, that's when it has those major moves. So if you go back on the chart, look at the weekly chart of NVIDIA, you can see right now we're in a weekly squeeze. But look at the last weekly squeeze. That weekly squeeze did actually bring the stock quite a bit lower, but then it shifted and it catapulted to the upside. If you look at this one right here, again, this one was a smaller move and it was more of a bullish squeeze versus this slingshot squeeze. But that was what resulted in one of those bigger moves in NVIDIA. And then here, if you look at this weekly squeeze consolidated from, let's see, July of 23 until January of 24, where the stock basically did nothing. And then look at this massive, massive, massive move it had. So that was one of the squeezes where I was buying NVIDIA stock. Then there was another one down here. This was pretty much the dead low in NVIDIA in 2022. That is also where there was a weekly squeeze. So I just feel like going back, looking at NVIDIA, looking at all of these signals on the weekly chart, what you can see is that it has that signal again. So I don't know when it's going to break out. It might take forever. But NVIDIA is creating a bunch of new AI tools. They're launching their Nemo Claw tool, which is basically going to allow anyone to code whatever they want. I believe they're having their announcement on Monday. But their CEO already made a blog post a couple weeks ago. Actually, it wasn't a couple weeks ago. I think it was just this week about their 5-layer stack plan to basically dominate this entire industry. So I'm excited about this. I think it's a good time to buy more long-term shares. I think the overhead price target is 225. I feel like there's probably going to be some really cool announcements next week. I wouldn't be surprised if the initial move was lower just because you do usually get that kind of buy the rumors, sell the news type of thing. But another good lower buy point would be around 175. So I like it. I like the stock. I think the entire market in general right now is weak and it's volatile. And we have the VIX up at 27, which is pretty high. And the VIX continues climbing higher. So I feel like we do need to shorten time frames, reduce price targets on specific tickers. Generally I try to get like 75%, 100% on butterflies, but you really need to reduce the price targets to like 50% just to get the quick ins and outs. Because the VIX is high. So all that being said, all of that being said, I feel like those are some pretty good places to focus. Then we have Broadcom. Broadcom is a pretty good relative strength winner in the semiconductor space. I do like the name. Ideally, it can hold the 200 simple on the daily chart because that's a really important level. But if you look at the weekly chart, what you will see is that there is a gorgeous weekly squeeze. This is one of my favorite long-term buy signals to use. It's generally what I use to buy all of my long-term stocks. It's pulled back all the way from 414 down into 322. So that's a pretty big move. Nice pullback zone. I feel like that is a good spot to get into some long-term buys. Now, let me just make sure I hit most of these questions. Oh yeah, SNDK. So, I mean, we've looked at this one so many times, and my issue is just that I can't really. There wasn't a good way to trade it in the options market, but absolutely, the memory space is very hot right now. This is one of the top tickers. This is one of the top relative strength tickers in the market. I have a price target on it up at 800 and then up at 850. It has a perfect 5-star trend. It has a daily squeeze. It has incoming volume. There's literally nothing wrong with this name. The only thing that was wrong with it was that the options were extremely expensive and they didn't have good enough volume so that I could actually trade it. So that was my problem. Let's see. We can look at them. So if you go out into April, for example, just a Delta 70 call, 104. Yikes. So that's going to be a little out of my price range, guys. If you want to do something like sell put credit spreads, you could try that. But the issue is just that the liquidity is just not very good. When you have a $3 spread in your options pricing, that's just, it's going to create a situation where it's going to make it hard for you to get in and get out. And you don't want your entry and your exit to cause you to lose money. So that's the problem with that. If you want to try just selling put credit spreads, I think it works perfectly with the setup. It's just an issue of the option spreads. For MU, let's look at MU going into earnings. Again, really strong ticker. Everything looks really good with this one. It looked like it was going to break down, but then it did a fake out and it did a little bit of a slingshot squeeze here. So this has since come back up. We have the earnings report coming out on the 18th, which I believe is Wednesday next week. Oh, and the S&P is about to break the low on the day. Okay, so if it breaks the low on the day, I would expect the selling to pick up. Let's just see if it holds or not. But as far as MU is concerned, strong ticker, strong chart, got a little faked out right here, but at this point, it has rallied back up into the resistance zone that it was at previously. Um, and, I think we're in a good position going into earnings. Let me see what the chart looks like here. So it looks like last quarter, huge gap up, 13.8% gap up. You can see that the buying continued. The buying was just continuing onwards and upwards, high volume buying. And you can see that it traded all the way from 227 up into 455 in one quarter. That's crazy. So, my only issue with this is just that when you see stocks get such a big boost going into an earnings report, they're going to have a phenomenal move. Well, phenomenal numbers to equal a phenomenal move. You know what I mean? Because the expectations get really high after the price of the stock has increased that much over one quarter. So just keep that in mind. But overall, there's nothing that I can say to complain about it. You have a bullish pre-earnings 21-day average. You have a bullish pre-earnings 8-day average. Over the last 2 years after earnings, it's continued going up on average 4%, which obviously this quarter was significantly more than 4%. So if you're looking at all of that, I would just say that looks like a pretty good candidate for a bullish move. But they're just going to have numbers that are phenomenal. Let's see. CN. All right, for that one, so I'm just going to go through some of the requests now. Looking pretty good. Pre-earnings 21-day average is at 4.65%. Pre-earnings 8-day average at 1.29%. Post-earnings 8-day average at 7.1%. All of that is really good. Let's see. Let's look at some upside targets. So it looks like I have a pretty clean price target at 400. I also like that even though it was down after earnings, buyers came in. You have a big wick at the bottom of the candle. You have higher than average volume on that candle. And then after that, you continued having buying. So when you have these earnings reports where these tickers trade lower, you're just in this situation where you have to pay attention to when it's trading lower, are buyers coming in, or are people panicking and selling the stock, or realizing they just don't want to own it and they're just selling it. So an earnings gap down isn't necessarily the worst thing. Sometimes it can be a buying opportunity, like in the case of this ticker, where you have a beautiful hold of support, you have buyers coming in, really nice 5-star trend, you have a daily squeeze, then you have a clean price target at 400. So that one looks great. VALE. So I had to take a stop on this one. This one looked really good initially. I got in, it had a daily squeeze, it was trading higher. I was targeting my higher price target at 18. And what happened was it hit the resistance zone, it fell short, and it completely reversed. So on that reversal, it initially held the 50 simple, but it did not hold the 50 simple after this day right here, which was on the 5th. It broke through there. And then as you can see, those candles shifted from dark red to bright red, and then that became overhead resistance. So looking at this major shift in pattern, That was something that, I lost money on the trend shift. The main lesson from this is really just when the VIX is higher than normal, especially when it's up above 17, especially when it's up above 23, we just need to reduce our price targets instead of looking for the full price target, which again would have been up here at 18 and a half. Taking profits at the resistance zone is really just the way to do it. And that's what I should have done. So I didn't do that. I was holding it a little bit longer and I ended up having to get out of it. Let's see, VZ. Okay, so that's very interesting. Crazy move. I haven't paid attention to this company for a long time because it's basically done nothing for forever. But let's see here. Just a minimal beat. I don't know if there was some kind of news or what. There would have had to have been some kind of amazing news on their last earnings report to cause this kind of move. I don't normally trade this stock just because it's been sideways for so long. But that being said, if you wanted to try to jump along on the new trend, I would just say trying to buy a pullback is going to put you in a better position. And a pullback down to 48, 49 would be better than buying it at this high right here. But overall, yes, you can see that it has been in a nice trend. CBNA. Is Carvana still a short? Yeah, that looks like a short to me. So this is a major trend reversal. You had a break through the 50 simple. You had a break through the 100 simple. You had a break through the 200 simple. Then you're in this overall downward trend, and this trend has shifted from bullish to bearish, and now you have another squeeze and you're on the lows. So definitely looks like more downside ahead, especially because it broke through that $300 strike price. So let's see here. And you're pretty much sitting on that previous low at 285. So I would say if it breaks that 285 price point, that's where it would really start to fall to the downside. If Kramer says this is the low, we're all gonna die. Oh dear. I'm just reading somebody else's comment. Mara breaking above the 50 and all other EMAs have 35 to 40% short float. Yeah. Charles wanted me to talk about those tickers on Monday. Let me go ahead and look at all of those too. I'm just trying to answer some of the other questions here. Have you changed your earnings trades on major stocks now that we have options expiration 3 times a week? I have not yet. I haven't started using those other option series, but they weren't. I think that they just came into play kind of at the end of earnings season. So I just didn't really get a chance to do that yet, but I think that I may do that this earnings season. Okay, so let's take a look at the indexes. All right, we're currently sitting on the lows of the day, but we're not really getting a lot of movement. This is basically what happened last Friday, where it looked like you were just going to roll over and die and get creamed, and then nothing really happened. Your ticks have definitely been negative. There's more selling than buying. The volume has been edging lower, but it's not just dropping off a cliff, which is typically what I would look for when I want to short the market the last half an hour of the day. So I don't really see that. Let's see here. I mean, it's bearish, but it's not just careening to the depths of despair. So there's really two different, well, there's 3 trades here. There's, hey, if the low breaks on high volume with strong selling pressure, how do we short it? That's one trade. The other trade is, okay, there's probably a lot of people out there that are short and maybe they're going to buy to cover here at the end of the day. Can we trade just a little bit of a snapback rally as those buy orders come in? That's generally a little bit more, it's a little bit easier to do, just because shorting the lows is, can be difficult, but it's not difficult if there's high volume selling. I don't mind shorting the lows if I have the signals. I just don't have it right now because the ticks are at -200. The vol spread is flat. The put call ratio is not moving. The VIX isn't moving. So there's really no signal that says, hey, everything is falling apart here. It's just, yeah, today is weak. The other thing that we can do is we can just make a neutral trade. I don't know that I really like that idea today. Last 20 minutes on a Friday. Usually I like to do that when there's going to be a big announcement or something like that, like NVIDIA earnings report. And I feel like the market's not going to move that much in the next 20 minutes. So those are the three options here. I don't personally see something that's just saying to me, hey, let's risk money on this. If you force me to choose, I would say the most obvious thing here is you sell off into the close, but it's just not playing out in the market internals. So I'm not going to put any money on it right now. Let me look at the SPX. Okay, now we're finally starting to get some selling pressure, -800. So, okay, now, of course, right after I say that, -900 on the ticks. Getting a little bit of selling here. VIX is still not moving though. Okay, let's see. It's going to take off a little bit here. The most obvious price target in the SPX is 6,600. So I think that's the next one. Yeah, next price target. After that, if you break, 6,500. And then as far as today is concerned, there's only 20 minutes left. Looks like there's a $10 expected move. Do you think the market is at or near the bottom? No, I do not. I do not. I hope that I'm wrong, but I don't think so. I think that we are breaking down below some pretty critical support zones, and it looks like there's going to be continued volatility until we can get some kind of bullish catalyst in one of the relative strength spaces. Semiconductors would be great, but semiconductors recently shifted. The memory stocks have been strong. Charles emailed me about the Neo Cloud this morning. So those are going to be the AI infrastructure plays. We can go over those too, because I was going to do that on Monday. So those two spaces look strong, but it's just not really enough to lift the NASDAQ and the S&P, especially because the Magnificent Seven or the Bag Seven is getting pretty hammered. So as far as today's concerned, you definitely have that 6,600 level that's standing out like a bit of a sore thumb. We would need to have a lot more selling though for that to be hit today, because that would be twice the expected move. Going out 3 days, you have a 100-point expected move. So you could do like 65.50. I think people are underestimating what Claude, Cowork, and Perplexity Computer are capable of. It's incomprehensible. I built a full hedge fund and sell-side signal intelligent engine that has APIs into Tasty, Schwab, and IB, and I have zero coding experience. Yes, you're speaking my language. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That is really, really cool. Which APIs did you use for that? Just going through the chat here. Any thoughts on Alibaba? And is that a live website? Should send me the link. Bruce says the spot gamma target is still at 6650. War is over. Tweet is incoming for real this time. LOL. Like you said before, not sure people are going long or covering for shorts into the weekend. Looks like there's a bit more nervousness today. Danielle, can we buy puts for Monday? So I did just buy puts in IGV. That alert got sent out. So this is a software ETF. Due to the amount of fun that I'm having with Claude Code, and then also because of all of these chart patterns, because of all these chart patterns as well, I started buying puts on IGV. This is the software space. So it really just comes down to this. It's like software is something that it costs a lot of money to pay someone. Well, it did. It did cost a lot of money to pay somebody with the knowledge to correctly code software as a service, just different tools, websites. I mean, I can't even tell you how much money I spent on a basic website, literally danielleshay.com, just to get graphics, have somebody make me a Squarespace. And like, it doesn't sell anything. It's literally just, hey, this is me. This is my name. It's not even a business. Okay. It's literally just, this is where you can find me. And it was so expensive to pay for the graphics and all the things on the back end. And now I could have literally created that in Claude Code using an hour and the, $100 subscription. And so it just, I don't know, it just completely reduces the need for a lot of this spend in a lot of these software companies. And when you're looking at IGV, that's why you see these software stocks just taking a total dive, because they have to all get repriced because they charge a lot of money for all of this software. And now that anybody can come up with their own ideas and tools for a very low price, it's like it's just repricing the entire sector. So I did go ahead and buy puts on this because of all of the reasons that I stated, but also because it's in a bearish downtrend. It has relative weakness. It topped out last September, which was quite a while before mostly everything else started falling lower. So that's a big sign that it had the relative weakness. You rallied up into this resistance zone and you're falling. You have this squeeze that failed. If you look at the weekly chart pattern, a lot of people online I have seen coming in and wanting to buy this 200 simple moving average, but I don't think so. I think that's going to break and I think we're going to head lower. So I did buy puts on IGV this morning. A couple of the names in this space, I mean, I think they're all looking pretty bad. I feel like Microsoft has the best chance at ultimately correcting this trend just because they're in a lot of other spaces. Especially AI, Chat GPT. I mean, they'll figure something out. But if you're looking at Microsoft, I mean, that is a bearish trend. That looks like it's going to trade down into 375. A lot of these other tickers, Salesforce, I shorted. Yesterday, I was getting a little hammered on my Salesforce short because it was up like 2%, but it's already reversed and it's looking great today. You can see that it rallied up into the 34 EMA, which, by the way, is a great spot to short these things. I think that it'll probably trade down into 180, 175, and then after that, maybe 165. So if you're looking through just the different software stocks and trying to come up with some ideas, here's the list that I have of the different software stocks, and you can see how much they're down from their previous high. We also looks like just seeing on X right now that Team confirmed 1,600 layoffs with another 900 plus coming. Looks like, yep. Claude is mentioned in that as well. We also had this morning the CEO of ServiceNow made some comments, and the comments were, if we keep going the way we're going with AI and automation, you're going to see real damage in the entry-level job market. For recent college graduates, unemployment could be in the mid 30% range by the 2030s. That's not a base case forecast. It's a risk scenario if business and government don't work fast enough to reskill people and rethink how work is organized. And a lot of this is because the kids that are just coming out of college, they're the ones that just have the base knowledge, right? That's the stuff that can be replicated by AI really easily. It's more people that understand what they're doing in the space that have a better chance of not being replicated by AI, right? So, anyways, I don't know. This is my main thesis right now. I'm focusing on these stocks to the downside. I think Salesforce has more downside. I think, really any of these you could probably go with. If we look at CDNS and SNPS, see what those ones look like because those are falling first. I mean, really, you can, take your pick. Rallied right up into resistance, daily squeeze, it's falling lower. SNPS. Do you think the market will rebound after the war is over? Absolutely. All of these events in the market, when we get these pullbacks like this, they're always a buying opportunity. It's just kind of a function of when and what your time frame is. So I'm sitting here, I'm talking about software stocks going lower. I own Microsoft shares in my long-term portfolio. I'm not bailing on all of my long-term Microsoft shares because of what's going on right now, but I definitely will trade it to the downside while this volatility is here. I think ultimately Microsoft will recover. I don't know how many of these others are going to completely recover. Like that one definitely looks like it's going to fall off a ledge. You could target $400 on that one. Let me actually see what my Salesforce trade is doing. So as I mentioned, I got into this trade and then yesterday it was going against me. So it's just gotten back to break even today. Let's see for next week. So I targeted 175 on that. And because it rallied a little bit, we're kind of, let's see. Well, we're in the money now because it's 195, 175, 155. So I feel like that butterfly is still looking good overall. I don't love that it's only on a 7-day time frame. I feel like it, may be better to go out into the April 17th series. Even just buying these puts at the $200 strike price or the 210 strike price, I think those would be good. Yeah, so I feel like that looks pretty good. And I can show you the IGV trade that I did too. So I just added this one on today right before I came in the trading room, but I went ahead and got these Delta 50 puts and I went out into April just to give myself some more time. And then let's see, the other tickers you guys wanted to ask about. Oh, and these are the ones that Charles wanted me to talk about. So a lot of these AI infrastructure plays are going to be really volatile, but they provide some opportunity. So with NBIS, this one is a short squeeze as well. It has pulled back and bounced really well at the 200 simple on the daily chart. You can see it broke out above recent highs. It is up today, which is great. If you look at the weekly chart pattern, which is what I think is probably the most exciting, because you have a situation where it has bounced really well off of the 34 EMA. Here, let me move some of these levels. This is just too much. So this looks amazing. So you can see that it has a really nice squeeze. It's pulled back, it's bouncing, it's shifted from red to green. You have your momentum that's shifting right here too. That looks really, really good. Let me just bring up the notes that I wrote for Charles. Let me see where I put those. And then we have so the target on that is going to be like 160, 175. It just depends on if you want to do a short-term trade or a long-term investment. I feel like here as a long-term investment, it would be just fine because there's a lot of potential upside. But as a trade, I wouldn't really want to get in right at this moment because it's already made a recent high. Okay, we're finally getting a little bit of short covering. And then IREN. This one has a beautiful weekly squeeze that looks like it's about to slingshot. Really nice hold of the 30 SMA. So I like this one for upside price targets up into 80, 88, 100. All of that looks really good. APLD. These are going to be more volatile tickers, and especially surrounding earnings. But they're also the kind of tickers that, is it going to be the next NVIDIA? So these are things where, don't mortgage your house to buy the stocks or anything crazy like that. But for me personally, if I want to put some money at risk long term, I'll just buy these shares. I mean, they're $27. And this is one of the leaders in this AI infrastructure build out space. So with some of these, they don't really look like great trades right now because the daily chart is so sloppy. But I was doing a lot of research on this because I was writing my notes for the network this morning. And a lot of these names, they have been transitioning from crypto miners into the AI infrastructure space. So a lot of that short-term volatility has been due to that shift. So what I'm looking for in the longer run is, okay, can we just kind of level out that short-term volatility, and then as this AI build out continues and software development becomes just the norm for the average person, and then AI agents um, become more popular, what's that going to look like? So these are the names that I'm focused on for that. I think that the weekly chart pattern could look better, admittedly. I mean, it's not like a perfect cup and handle pattern or anything, but it's holding the 34 EMA. It has a weekly squeeze. It's pulled back. It has support right there. And then CIFR. You prefer NBIS to APLD. I agree with that, but I like it. Man, I just heard my CNBC segment got cut because they had a live straight up Hormuz. I don't know if that's how you say it. Segment. Man, I got bumped for the straight segment. Oh well, it happens. That's what happens with breaking news. NBIS is more complete in term offering. It's not just bare metal like iron, cipher, APLD. Oh, very interesting. US made launcher fired missiles towards Iran, video shows. I mean, that's the thing about the weekend, guys. It's just going to be news, 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 news. But, you know, I like these longer term picks. I think they're going to be volatile in the short term. I feel like we just have to know that and accept that. I really like NVIDIA here. I do really like Apple. I was saying earlier about Apple that I think that Apple's one of the only Mag 7 companies that's not spending like billions and billions on this AI infrastructure build out. And when you look at Apple, Apple has the hardware that is going to be useful because the Claude code runs on the MacBook terminal. So I like it. Has a weekly squeeze, price target at 300. Then after that, 315. We need your wisdom. Can you ask CNBC, Fox Business, Bloomberg to give you your own show like 1 hour a day? Oh, that's so nice. I appreciate you. Do you think, let's see, do you think the spreads, OFRM, let's see here. The future, Maria, as long as it's not at 6 o'clock in the morning. No, thank you. No, gracias. I cannot do that. Okay. So I'm not familiar with this name. I'll look into it a little bit more. Anytime there's like a new IPO, I definitely want to check it out. In general, without knowing what it is, which happens sometimes because I can't know every single ticker in the stock market. You're generally going to have, this is a very typical IPO chart. Comes out, people are excited, it hits a high, pretty much always pulls back after that. You have an earnings report. Usually recent IPOs are going to be volatile over earnings. A lot of the time they fall after earnings too when it's their first report. So I wouldn't say any of this is unusual. What I would say for this and any IPO is if you are interested in the, I wouldn't concern yourself as much with what the chart pattern is doing, just because these are the kind of things that if you like it, if you believe in it, it's $15. You know, it's going to take a while for it to reverse that pattern. I will say that buyers are coming in on high volume, which is a really good sign. Typically, when you have an earnings report and a stock falls after earnings and buyers come in, that's a really good sign. When the buyers come in on greater than average volume, great sign. You can see right here with the volume overlay that it's about 3 times more volume than normal. So those are great signs. As far as the options market is concerned, I will tell you that I don't typically trade options on a new IPO that only has like a month of history because you don't have a solid pattern to use. I really like identifying trends and sticking with those trends. And with a recent IPO, you just don't have that. So could you trade it in the options market if you just love the stock, you think it's going to go higher? I can't say that I see that as a good idea because of the liquidity in the options. So when you're looking at the spread here and the at the money strike that's 35 days out, you have a spread between 90 cents and $3.40. So the spread is just way too wide. So what's going to happen is when you try to get in, you're going to have to pay up to get in. And then when you try to get out, it's going to be hard for you to sell it. So you're going to have to reduce your price when you're selling it. So you kind of get screwed on the way in and the way out, and it's not very fun. So I don't usually like to do that with a new IPO. Oh, Once Upon a Farm. I didn't realize that's what it was. Okay, now I'm seeing it. Once Upon a Farm, by the way, I have a daughter who's very allergic to dairy, and the Once Upon a Farm is like a dairy free. They have a lot of like dairy free options, so I do really like that, by the way. Um and because I'm farmer Danielle these days, I also like the whole, farm clean eating stuff. So all that is cool. Um, but I still wouldn't buy the options on it. If anything, I would just buy the shares. It's $18. Buy the shares. Owned by the great Jennifer Garner. Yes. Do you guys want to see a picture of my new chickens? So yesterday I told Daryl when I was finishing work, he's like, "Oh, what do you want to do? Do you want to make dinner?" Like, no, I got a text alert. There's new chickens in. Let's go get some chickens. It's like, of course, that's what you want to do tonight. You want to go buy some chickens. So I we went to the country store and we bought some chickens. Oh, get this. Get what I did, you guys. I tricked my kids into eating eggs by making them into the shape of donuts. Yeah. So we have 10 chickens that are laying a ton of eggs, and I have donut molds for donuts. And I made this recipe for egg bites, and I put them in the donut molds. I could never get my 3-year-old to eat any eggs, but now he's like, "Give me those donut eggs." Anyway, so maybe in my next career, I'll create the next Once Upon a Farm, like Jennifer Garner. Where's the chicken pics? Yeah, where are the chicken pics? Okay, I think I have to set. I think they didn't upload to the cloud. Let me upload this so I can show you, and then I'll sign off. Yeah, very innovative. When I was on maternity leave, I was so bored from not working. So I created like a 200-page set of recipes. Um and I wanted to put them on a website, but it's so tedious, to upload all of those. So now I'm going to use Claude Code, and it's going to be done in like a weekend. Okay, I want to show you. So those are my chickens. Yeah. Anyways, Once Upon a Farm. I'm all for it. Let's buy it. See if I can find you one picture that I'll share, and then I'll leave you alone. See. My kids didn't like eating eggs because it was pooped out of their butt. Yeah, I get it. I understand it. Especially when you're the one that has to, clean up after them. Danielle, did you discuss a TP on IGV? Oh my gosh, that's the most beautiful garden I've ever seen. Someday when I don't have a bunch of toddlers and I have time to garden again, I will like to make mine like that. Here's my Here's my new chicken with our 3-year-old Luke. He's very excited. And then here's a picture of the chicken. But did I discuss a TP on IGV? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yeah, I did mess up my indicator when I was using AI, but that was actually not from Claude. That was from Grok. Beautiful. Grok helped me create this muffin that's delicious to use up my quail eggs. It's made of lemon zest, carrots, bananas, almond flour, and almond butter eggs. No sugar, delicious. Wow, that sounds amazing. All right. Well, oh, no worries. Where would you put the profit? Oh, the profit target? On IGV, 75. I have not used Perplexity. Yeah. So I think that I answered all the questions. I did not trade the 0 DTE SPX today. It didn't give me a clear signal. Um it just didn't give me a clear signal. There was this one little move right here where you broke through the lows, but there wasn't any kind of major VIX spike. There was a little bit of a volume low. There was a little bit of a buy in the ticks here, but there wasn't anything that was super clean. Have an awesome weekend. Thanks for answering my questions so late. Okay, you have to subscribe because of the chickens. Is OFRM a buy then? Yeah, I would buy it. Why don't you come on Trader TV Live anymore? So I used to do a lot of TV, but then I had 2 babies in a row. So I have a 3-year-old and I have a 1-year-old. And so I had to greatly reduce the number of TV shows that I do. And I also just want to focus on my trading at Simpler Trading. So that's the other reason why. So I pretty much only do Charles's show now. And then I also really like going on CNBC with Kelly Evans on either The Exchange or Power Lunch. So those are the 2 that I usually do. I get other requests sometimes too. I like TD Ameritrade Network because that's really focused on the trades. And then I will do Yahoo Finance sometimes when they call me. They have like a Friday option segment that they do. I just don't do a lot of TV anymore because I just, when you're up with babies and stuff at night and it's just too much. So now I like to keep them very focused and do it like twice a month instead of 2 or 3 times a week, which is what I was doing before. Yeah. But yeah, I would buy the Once Upon a Farm. Why not? I'll buy it in my kids' accounts. I like it. Yeah. Mom stuff first. Do the other stuff again later. Exactly. But that's about all for me. Thank you, everyone. I had a great week with you. I look forward to seeing you next week. Yeah. How do you like the camera, guys? Uh, cool. Well, I'll see you later. Bye.